All right, welcome everybody to week 1, day 2 of Computer Science 1. So today we're going to go through the process of how a critical thinking enjoyer, it's that person there, evaluates a claim. So a claim is when somebody says something that they believe to be true about the world. Like, I believe that Joe Biden is president of the United States of America, right? That's a claim. And the what separates the average social media user from the critical thinking enjoyer is that if somebody makes a claim, there's always this thing in the back of the head going like, all right, is that true? You know, for something like Joe Biden, it's like, pretty obvious. But in general, like, everybody agrees something to be true. You're kind of like, I don't know if that's true. Because there's these things called urban legends, right? And urban legends are things that are widely believed to be true, and yet are not true. And they will make their rounds on social media. Last time I talked about the Covington kids who were accused of belittling Native Americans, and they got death threats from people around America, and it was just not true, right? It was just everybody told each other it was true, and everybody knew it to be true, but it wasn't true. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through a series of claims, and I'm going to walk you through the process of evaluating. And be aware that I don't have all the answers necessarily myself. There's a lot of things that I don't understand. For example, why people thought Twitter would be a good idea. We'll just make a website where people can yell at other people they've never met before. And then we'll put politicians on there and let people yell at politicians. And we'll put scientists on there and let people yell at the scientists. It'll be great. Celebrities will love it. But just random people could just yell at them. It's the best idea ever for a website. And then people will yell at each other for yelling at the other person. It'll be fantastic. It'll be great. I'm being somewhat sarcastic, but in all honesty, there are a lot of things that I don't know myself, and even in computer science, a topic in which I'm apparently qualified enough to be a professor of, there's a lot of stuff in computer science. I know certain things really, really well. I'm actually quite good at some areas. There's some areas where I just kind of have a passing knowledge, And to be perfectly fair, one of the professors at Fresno State has a specialization that I actually don't know what it means. So they have specialized in an area that I literally have no concept of what their specialization even is. Not that I don't know it very well. I actually have never heard of the thing they've specialized in, and that's okay. It's a Chris Pratt meme, I don't know what it is, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask, right? But it's fine. The world's a big place. I know a small part of it reasonably well, and a bigger part moderately well, and a larger part a little bit, and there's a hell of a lot of things I don't know. And so anytime somebody posts something on Facebook that's saying did you know, I've got a autistic friend who's always posting things about autism, and I've got people across the entire political spectrum as friends. I have very right-wing and left-wing. I've got Marxists and libertarians. I talk to anybody, and what I find is that, when you talk to anybody, you'll oftentimes learn things you've never heard before. So, but still, they'll present things, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said last time, a friend of mine made a statement that the U.S. is not a meritocracy, and I'm like, okay, well, what is the evidence for your claim, right? You've made a claim, America's not a meritocracy. Okay, what is the evidence for your claim? And so the person posted a doctoral thesis from somebody that purportedly showed that America was not a meritocracy, and like I said, I was on a plane ride and spent the entire plane ride reading the doctoral thesis, and then when I landed, I wrote a big response to him. So that's basically what it means to be a critical thinker, though. It's like if somebody presents a new claim, you're just like, okay, or somebody posts a news story. Okay, check the source behind the news story. A lot of times, people only read the headlines. So, for example, about in January, there was a headline that I saw myself personally, and the headline said, "Rich people cutting the line for vaccines." I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I click on it, and it's a story about how rich people are going to cut the line for vaccines because there's these things called concierge medical services where, like at UCLA, you can pay a lot of money and have your own personal doctor, and you have your own private room when you go to the hospital. It's for like celebrities and things like that, so they don't have to go to the ER. If you break your leg or something, you go to the ER and you sit there for 8 hours with a broken leg. If you're a celebrity, they will, if you have concierge medical service, they'll whisk you right in. And so the article was speculating that rich people would use concierge medical service to cut the line. I'm like, okay, that's very different from what the headline said. They are cutting the line, and so it's like they might cut the line. And then the source for that article I clicked on, and it's like, there's a possibility that they might cut the line. And then I just kept clicking on the sources for each of the articles, and it turns out there was no evidence of any of that whatsoever. It was just all speculation, and each reporter was just reporting on what the other reporter said and just making it sound more hyperbolic and scary that rich people were cutting the line and getting all these vaccines. And the reality was there wasn't any of that. And then UCLA later on came on and said, no, we're not offering vaccines to people in our concierge health program. But that's how social media works. You share something, it's got a headline that's like, and it just captures your attention, and all you read is the headline. And a critical thinker will read the article behind the headline, and then if there's a source for the article, we'll read the source, and if there's a source for the source, read that source, and kind of dig down until they're satisfied that they know what's going on. So, clickbait titles, yeah, they're a thing. One of my fun things to do is I go onto Google News, and I just try to see how long it takes before I find a clickbait title. A clickbait title is one that's like, this thing will shock you. 5 things that doctors hate. It'll have a headline that's like exciting, but it won't tell you what it is because they want you to click on it to find out what it is, right? Biden receives inconclusive intelligence report on COVID-19 origins. It's a little bit clickbaity. Let's see here. How Mexico helped the Times get its journalists out of Afghanistan. Pain compliance, this woman went viral for pouring peroxide, and so I spoke to a doctor. Yeah, like all these kinds of Belgian woman banned from zoo after 4-year affair with chimpanzee. Like, it's just kind of a guilty hobby I have to see how long I can go before I get to a clickbait headline. I've seen lots of clickbait on YouTube. Yeah. Is China taking over the world? That kind of stuff. I hate misinformation. I also hate the fact checker box. Yeah. Or every time you say anything about COVID-19, it posts the thing, are you talking about vaccines? Like, yeah. It's like, yeah, we know COVID-19. Here's the link. Yeah, okay, got it. Clickbait titles tend to write with more than is needed, or they simply don't cover the topic. Yeah, they just post something that's catchy, but it's missing some critical bit of information. So you click on it because you're, I need to, like, this wonder drug will cure COVID-19. What? You click on it, and it's like, some scientists think that if you take, ivermectin, and if they did the reporting properly, because we'll talk about YouTube censorship later in the semester. Okay, anyway. So in this semester, we're going to learn how to think, not what to think. I absolutely am appalled and disgusted by professors that impose their ideological views on students. It is not my job to tell you, you must be a liberal, you must be a conservative, you must be an authoritarian, you must be a libertarian. No, that is not my job. My job is to teach you how to approach claims and approach, somebody says, this is true. How do you approach assessing if that's true or not? That's what I'm here to teach you. I'm here to teach you how to be a critical thinker. I'm not here to indoctrinate you in any one particular ideology. And I also don't have any one particular ideology, which I guess makes that easy. But, and partly it's because I have friends from across the spectrum. And so some, like when I'm at dinner with my friends, it's like, I always learn something new. You know what I mean? So. But, yeah, it's very much like, I am not going to tell you this is what you have to believe. I'm going to tell you how to approach what to believe. Okay? So, yeah, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're a socialist, if you're a libertarian, you're all welcome. Okay? The main thing is just, and because there will be people that disagree with you on Discord, and because it's on Discord, all that interpersonal nuance is lost, right? In person, this class has been great to teach in person because everyone's very respectful, and when someone's sitting next to you, you're not going to say ha ha, poop emoji, whatever. Like in real life, people are, a lot more respectful when you get punched. You know what I mean? But in online environments, a lot of the nuance is lost, and so I try to police it a little bit. For example, the first time I taught this class online, which would be, I think, a year ago now, the very first discussion we had, somebody's like, whoa, hold on there, champ, that's not right, and I'm like, no, don't do that. It's you have to really be careful, especially when you're using sarcasm. Sarcasm just doesn't translate very well into the online environment, so yeah, just, be very positive towards other people, be generous towards other people in the class. We're all, think of it as we're all friends here, right? So, yeah, this isn't Twitter. Pull up any politician's Twitter feed and just find random people flaming them. Who thought that was a good idea? So I'm very careful to balance attacks in this class. If you take a midterm and there's one question attacking Trump, probably the next is going to attack Biden or vice versa, right? You can always find, especially with politicians, you can always find logical fallacies and things like that being made. And I trade 1-to-1 very, very deliberately and consciously. Okay. And it's not just Democrats and Republicans. If I go after socialism, I'll go after libertarianism, right? Socialists, I'll blow their minds. Like, sometimes the free market's the solution. Libertarians, sometimes the government's the solution. What? So, people love hiding behind a screen until they get doxxed, yeah. So, my goal is to have you baffled by what I actually believe. And I usually think I pull that off pretty well. There's some things that I think will be obvious that comes through, like I care about things like privacy online, and I'm not a big fan of like online advertising or Twitter. I think has come through, but like as far as like political beliefs and things like that, yeah, my goal is to have you baffled by what I believe. Okay. What if I say good things about one person, the opposite person? Is it balance? The way to criticize people is using something called the, yeah, here we go. When you have a conversation with each other, and there will be discussions on Canvas where I put up a topic for a debate, and you have to post your views, and then you have to respond to somebody else's views. And we'll go into more at that point, but basically, you are going to disagree with people, and that's fine. Like, a lot of people are terrified to disagree with other people. I'll get blocked if I disagree with my friend on Facebook. The secret to disagreeing with people, especially online, is positive criticism. Okay? So if somebody says, like, they post an argument, the first thing you should say is something nice about it. Like, I really liked the way that you presented your views on how the Wendy's Twitter account is a shining example of how, corporate Twitter accounts should work. However, I have to disagree when you say that everybody should subscribe to the Wendy's Twitter feed. I personally would not like to have corporate advertising in my Twitter feed, but I do think your points were really well made. Positive, negative, positive. It's called the hamburger model or the sandwich model for positive criticism. You say something nice about what they said. I really think your thoughts are really well organized here. Something nice about it. Then you say the part that you disagree on. And you finish by saying, again, something nice. And be honest and truthful about what they did well. Right? Don't just be like, yo, dude, your argument's good. However, everything you said is a lie. But yeah, your argument's really good. Like, no, you can't just like lie to them. Like, you actually have to find something, and there's always something you can find nice about what they said. It's the hamburger model, right? Something nice, your disagreement, something nice. And if you do that, you find that people are like, oh, cool. You know, it's actually a really nice way, and that's a fair criticism. It actually works really well. There's something psychologically about that way of disagreeing with people that works well. People don't take constructive criticism. But I mean, constructive criticism, like, hey man, I'm just trying to help you out. You had 7 typos in your post. Like, constructive criticism isn't exactly the same thing, right? Because like, I'm just trying to help you, man. I'm just trying to help you. Your thoughts are all wrong. You know, it's in how you present your criticism of what they said, and you have to say a genuine thing that you liked about what they said, followed by the place where you disagree, followed by something positive. Okay, and we'll go more into that in the future, but that's the general idea. Okay, so critical thinking in general is about wanting to believe true things and to not believe false things. You guys understand? Like, Twitter does have some funny things, yeah. Ratio 100. Ratio unfollowed blocked. Facebook debates are a different breed. Yeah, like I said last time, a friend of mine posted a claim. Right, the claim was essentially how Fresno farmers caused Japanese internment in World War II, and I was like, well, you know, I've worked with the Fresno Historical Association. I worked in the field of history for over a dozen years, right? Like I'm reasonably familiar with the topic, and so I disagreed with her, and she actually was like, oh, you know, thank you for the information, and then I went on to the original thing and posted the same thing there. You're confusing cause and effect. You know, you can read the journal of the military guy that threw the Japanese people into the internment camps. Like, there's hundreds of pages of him documenting his reasoning and rationale. Fresno farmers wanting to steal Japanese people's land was not part of the equation at all. Like, pretty convincing, overwhelming evidence that the person posting this was wrong, you know. And so when I posted this, somebody came on. It's like, well, you're literally mansplaining. It's like, what? You know, is the principle here that a woman just can't be wrong online? Is that the principle? No, there is no such principle. Women and men can both be wrong. That's just how it is, you know. And especially if you're making an academic claim like, you know, Fresno farmers caused Japanese internment, it's just wrong, you know. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is a public Facebook post. It's going to draw out the worst people, you know, and so I just ignored it after that. It's just really just not worth engaging with randos on Facebook, you know. So, I remember when the only ratio that mattered was someone's kill to death ratio. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some claims, and I'm going to walk you through the process of evaluating a claim. Okay. Again, how to think, not what to think, right? And the quiz, there will be a quiz today. The quiz will present 2 claims, and you're going to have to do some digging. That's what it means to be a critical thinking enjoyer. You have to do some digging, okay? I'm going to present some claims, give you some resources to read, and you're going to have to dig and find out if they're true or not, okay? So the process we're going to go through right now is going to be what you're going to go through tonight or tomorrow, I guess, for your next homework assignment. It'll be due start a class on Friday. First thing, aloe vera is a sham for treating burns and sunburn. Aloe vera is a sham. What do you guys think? True? False? Do you have any questions you want to ask about this? How would you go about approaching this thing? False? I think it's false. Okay. All right. So you think it's false. Now you need to do the work to justify your belief that it's false. Okay. Do you have any resources on aloe vera? Do you have any news stories? Good resources would be things like the National Institutes of Health. Less good stories, or less good than like, the National Institute of Health would be like a news article from like the New York Times, which actually does have, this is where this comes from actually, it's the New York Times. Less good than the New York Times would be the person who wrote a story based on the New York Times article called "Is Aloe Vera a Sham?" ? Personal experience is lower quality than a second tier news article. I've put it on myself and it worked, right? So, is it a sham or not? And here you have a bit of a joke image. It's a firefighter carrying aloe vera on him to protect himself from fire, It revealed the aloe vera gel treated lesion healed faster than the Vaseline gauze area. The average time of healing the aloe vera gel was 18.9 days and 11.89 days and 18.9 days for the Vaseline gauze treated wound. PubMed. Very good, Marquez Barba. Very good. Yeah. So, yeah. You can't see the stream is maxed out. Can we up the stream count? That's a good question. You guys can't watch us. Good. Discord stream count. Don't they added 100 server limit? Okay. Didn't they up this? Yeah, that's go live. I'll try and figure it out. I think there's some new like stages or something like that Discord just added. I'll need to look into it. But as for now, just watch the recording, I guess. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. Let's see here. I still don't know what a ratio is. Yeah, a ratio is when more people reply to a tweet than like it. So that means they don't like it. Because there's no dislike button, and so people will figure out ways of disliking things, right? On Facebook, they originally only had liking, and then they added reactions. And so now if somebody says something and you disagree with them, you click on the laugh emoji. So like, for example, when you say, Fresno farmers did not cause Japanese internment, people who disagreed with me would click on the laugh button, And it's stupid. It's just the juvenile nonsense. So the claims here on the slides will be on the quiz or something completely different. Something completely different. I'm just walking you through the process of how to evaluate a claim. Okay. So, yeah, it seems like we've got a good quote here from Marquez Barba from PubMed. Okay. There's also Wikipedia that has sort of mixed quality. It really depends on the page and what genre it is, as to what quality the Wikipedia page is. Research. There's conflicting evidence regarding whether it's effective as a treatment for wounds and burns. Okay. That's Wikipedia. We got WebMD here. Supplement guide. Aloe vera. It's like Jello, huh? No, I don't want a thing. Hey, at least it's not asking you to accept cookies. There's strong evidence that aloe juice taken by mouth is a powerful laxative. Well, that's not what I was looking for. Something for sunburns, side effects, risks, interactions. Well, it doesn't really say if it's effective for sunburns or not. NCCIH, the National Centers for Complementary Integrative Health. Sorry. So this is an NIH website that focuses on alternative medicine. And so there's a lot of people that think there's no research at all for alternative medicine, that alternative medicine that has scientific evidence for it is called medicine. That's a common line you'll hear. But that's not actually what alternative medicine means. Alternative medicine just means things that are not commonly used in mainstream medicine. It's the actual definition from the NIH. And so they actually have lots of studies on it. Clinical research suggests that it may improve acne, may speed burn healing, suggests, and so you can see how they qualify the statements here. It suggests, it may, right? And so these qualifiers, and we'll talk more about qualifiers later in the semester, indicate the strength or confidence that the NIH has that these claims are correct, right? And I have gone through the research on aloe vera, prepping for this lecture, and there is a study that shows that aloe vera makes no difference in wound healing, which contradicts what Marquez Barba put on there from the NIH, right? And so when you summarize things like this, if you're a scientifically rational-minded person, you're very careful to qualify them. So it suggests that it may speed burn healing. There's evidence that it may reduce pain from burns, right? Suggests, what do you know about safety? It's well tolerated, generally well tolerated. So that's a stronger claim, right? Like we know pretty well that it's well tolerated. There's occasional reports, so that's a much stronger claim that it's generally regarded as safe. And then do they have references on here? So you can go through the references and find out what their sources were for that, so on and so forth. So, so is it a sham? I don't know. Like the actual source for that comes from the fact that they did an experiment and they found that a lot of aloe vera creams and lotions don't actually have aloe vera in it. So that's where that came from. There is evidence that if you apply aloe vera on a sunburn, that it reduces redness and swelling. Not as effective as hydrocortisone cream, but at the same time, like hydrocortisone cream has its own host of side effects and things like that. It thins out the skin if you do it for too long and things like that. So the sham part was actually not from the effectiveness of aloe vera, but from the fact that if you buy an over-the-counter aloe vera thing, there's a pretty good chance it's not aloe vera, but aloe, some other subspecies from the aloe family, or just not have any of it at all. So that's where that come from. That's where that came from. Okay. I had an aloe vera plant, but he died last week. Oh, that's sad. Doesn't most of our medicine come from plants? Yeah, originally, right? Like nowadays, like a lot of things are just purely synthesized. But back in the day, like if you wanted a painkiller, you'd boil willow bark and drink it, and then people isolated the active ingredient from willow bark, and we got aspirin. That's where aspirin came from. So, New York Times article said it was inconclusive. Yeah. And so, like, when you start digging into this, it's like there's a lot of different factors at play. Like, is it real aloe vera? Because that's kind of what the claim is about, right? Is that there's fraudulent activity going on in the aloe vera world, and then is it effective at burns and sunburns? There's some studies that show it does, some studies it doesn't. Like the wound healing thing, I've seen studies on both sides. And so, welcome to the real world. It's messy. It's full of conflicting evidence, and even in science, right? Like you have a scientific paper saying it works, a scientific paper saying it doesn't work. Now you have to do a meta analysis and be like, okay, this one only had 40 people in it, this one had 300 people in it, but this one's methodology was better, this one's was worse. They didn't standardize they didn't verify that it had aloe vera in it at all, so it's possible they were just applying some cream, and the world's messy, and so trying to figure out what to believe is rough, right? And so some people will just fall back on, well, I use aloe vera, it seems to work for me, and there's a certain amount to be said for that, but a critical thinker is gonna like dig into it. Like, okay, well, it seems like there's mixed evidence, maybe I should use hydrocortisone cream, but then you look into the side effects of hydrocortisone cream, so on and so forth. Do I have a conclusive answer for this? No, I don't. Next claim. I told you I don't know all the answers. Okay, here's another claim. In order to create size and muscle growth, this is an actual quote, sometimes the body will hit a wall. The body is saying, look, I know all of your tricks. I know you're going to start with a bench press, and you're going to do chin-ups. I know exactly what you're going to do, and I'm prepared for it. So you have to go and use the shocking principle, in which you change up your routine to surprise your muscles. Let's see if your pectoral muscle is used to that. So if you want to keep growing your muscles after you hit a wall, you have to shock your body by going hard, increasing the weight, doing things in a different order, things like that. Is Wikipedia a good source? It can be. The main benefit of Wikipedia is the references from Wikipedia. Every claim on Wikipedia is supposed to be sourced, and so you can click on the claims and look at the original sources. Wikipedia is, in some areas it's garbage, in some areas it's really good. And usually the more politicized something is, the more garbage it is. Right, so like if you go onto Wikipedia and go to the AltMed site, alternative medicine is any practice that aims to achieve the healing effects of medicine, but which lacks plausibility and is untested, untestable, or proven effective. This is directly in contradiction to what the NIH says about it, right? The NIH says that alternative medicine is medicine that is outside the bounds of mainstream medicine, and the World Health Organization, the NHS in England, the American NIH, all of them agree this definition is wrong. There's I actually went through, because this bothered me, right? Because my wife took a class on alternative medicine, and at UC San Francisco, at the time the #1 pharmacy school in the world, and they have this giant binder that has all of the research on various alternative medicine things. What is the contemporary research on tea, right? What are the health benefits and health risks of tea? That's one of the pages. There's 350 something studies on tea, on the health benefits of tea, right? And so when I saw this, I'm like, which lacks plausibility and is untested, untestable, or proven ineffective. Yeah, that's a complete and total fabrication and lie. It's completely wrong. And so I went on to the Wikipedia talk page. I'm like, here's the definition from the National Institute of Health. Here's the definition from the World Health Organization. Here's the definition from the National Health Service. They all use a definition that is directly in contradiction to your lead line here. And they don't care. They don't care. Welcome to Wikipedia. It's a majority votes thing, and the people who run the page think that it is proven ineffective, untested or untestable, and lacks biological plausibility. Why does tea, the effect that tea could keep you awake, why does that lack? It's got caffeine in it. Why does that lack biological plausibility? You know what I mean? So, alternative therapies share in common they reside outside medical science and rely on pseudoscience. Yeah, the NCCIH that I just showed you there has tens of thousands of scientific clinical studies, right? Which is science. It just drives me crazy. So, yeah. I'm not saying, by the way, that I believe all alternative medicine claims. In fact, a large part of that binder was milk thistle, which is in Rockstar energy drink, which is supposed to be good for your liver. No evidence for it. Here's 8 studies, none of which show any benefit whatsoever to liver health. And that's what a lot of the research was this just doesn't do anything. Which is about what you'd expect when you've got people just randomly adding plants to energy drinks, be like, this is gonna heal your liver after a hard night of drinking. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And then also a lot of it is on drug-drug interactions, and that's why every pharmacist graduating from UCSF, which is either the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 pharmacy school in the entire world, the reason why they make every pharmacist study alternative medicine is because people will come into your pharmacy taking St. John's wort, and you need to know how that interacts with the drugs you're going to prescribe to them. So when you do a consult with a pharmacist, they're like, hey, are you taking any medication right now? They say no. Are you taking any herbs, supplements, things like that? Oh yeah, I'm taking St. John's wort. Okay, you can't take this drug because they actually do things, right? And St. John's wort in particular, you have to be very, very careful with the drug-drug interactions with it. And the liver will metabolize alternative medicines, oftentimes using the same enzyme as traditional medicines, and that will allow more medicine to pass into your system because less it's being broken down by the CYP2A4 or whatever the liver enzyme is. Right? So drives me crazy. Okay, so my high school chemistry teacher would edit Wikipedia definitions to troll around. Yeah, is Wikipedia off limits for this class? No, you can use it, but it's not a good source. It's a good source for sources. Let's put it that way. Okay, it's a good source for sources. So there is a risk of allergy to aloe vera. Can never leave out side effects. Yeah, that's very important. When will we do the quiz? During class or on our own time? On your own time. So it'll go up after class is over, and then you have into the start of the next class. Okay. So being a critical thinker sounds like it takes a lot of time. Yep. It's true. Because here's the thing. The reason why memes spread, a meme is a mental virus, technically. The reason how urban legends spread is because people don't stop to actually go like, is that true? And that's what separates critical thinkers from the average social media user. Is that social media users are like, I like that headline. It makes me feel happy. It makes my political party look good and the other political party look bad. Retweet, reshare, whatever, without actually reading the article a lot of times, or if they read the article without reading the sources behind the article. And then they are participating in the dissemination of lies and misinformation. Right? So this is a quote from Arnold. Very good. So this is from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor of California. He has a YouTube video where he says this. I transcribed it more or less word for word. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit here. So is Arnold a good source for bodybuilding, for growing muscles? Right? Because this doesn't sound very scientific to me. Like, surprising your muscles don't think. You know what I mean? Arnold did take steroids. Maybe that's the secret. In order to create size and muscle growth, do steroids. Get muscle memory, seen him in a fight where a guy gets KO and his body automatically knew to next, so he got the ref into a lock. That's funny. So is Arnold, like, I wasn't able to find any scientific papers on the shocking principle. I didn't look very hard either. Is Arnold a good, believable source for bodybuilding? You know? What do you think? I'm asking you. Like, I don't know. Is this, you know? I'm not going to trust him when it comes to computer science, but for bodybuilding, he was Mr. Olympian. He was Conan the Barbarian and the Terminator, and he won the Mr. Universe or whatever year after year. You know, like I think he knows something about it. You know what I mean? Like, he's in some sense the world's top expert. If like he posted on Twitter actually after I put this up, I've been prepping this for a while. He put on Twitter, he's like, "Don't listen to me when it comes to vaccines. Listen to me if you want to learn how to grow your bicep." But, you know, listen to the Dr. Fauci on how to grow, or how to grow biceps. Listen to me on how to grow biceps. Listen to Dr. Fauci on vaccines. Basically what he said. And so he says, this is an area I know really well. And so I don't know if the shocking principle, I don't know if your body gets surprised or whatever, but behind the scenes, there might be something to changing up how much resistance you're adding and things like that, right? I actually did get into like the science behind muscle growth and things like that. And there's a study that actually just came out a couple days ago that said that working your muscles at 80% of the max was optimal for muscle growth. And so that might be the same thing. I don't know. So it's kind of a fun quote, though. Okay. How about this claim? Mr. Rogers was a sniper in Vietnam who wore sweaters all the time to cover up the tattoos he got for his confirmed kills. Do you think this is true or false? Just off the top of your head, before you research it. Do you think it's true or false? By the way, that's actually a real screenshot. It's not. It's a misleading screenshot. It's of Mr. Rogers doing thumbkin, and so he's going through each of the different fingers, So people opportunistically grabbed the screenshot. Sounds like something from Reddit. I hope it's false. I say a Mr. Rogers documentary. Yeah, it is false. It is false, and you can. The screenshot is real, but it's taken out of context, and that's another way that you can lie, because people will defend themselves saying we didn't fake that image. It's not a deep fake. Yeah, but you have Mr. Rogers playing thumbkin. Where is thumbkin? Where is thumbkin? And so when he gets to the middle finger, snip. Take it out of context, make it look like he's flipping off the audience. So there's a dark side to Mr. Rogers that nobody's ever heard before. Now, as far as anybody can tell, there was no dark side to Mr. Rogers. Right? He was a true American hero, really. So, yeah, it's an urban legend. Okay, and I have seen my friends post this urban legend on Facebook any number of times, and it's just like, nope, not true. So, there would have to be another veteran from the Vietnam War who can confirm this. No, like one of his friends went swimming with him. He's like, no, he doesn't have any tattoos on him. Like, I think the urban legend started just to explain why he always wore a sweater, and so they made up a story about tattoos, and then that turned into he was either a Navy SEAL or a Marine Scout recon sniper or something. There's actually a number of urban legends like this where they take some sort of mild-mannered celebrity, like Tom Hanks or something, I don't know, and try to... It's just amusing to think of them as a total badass, Okay. Yeah, so this one's definitely false. For this one, I don't know. For this one, there is research. It's hard to get into it. The sham part maybe could be justified. For the quiz that I'm going to give you guys, it's not ambiguous at all. It's not ambiguous at all. The answer is going to be true or false. Okay? And if you do the research, it is not ambiguous. Okay, contrary to what previous studies found, playing Tetris has no effect on male testosterone levels. Which is funny for a couple of reasons, because that means the people have been studying the effect of Tetris on male testosterone levels, and previous studies found that they had a significant effect, and this study found no effect. For the quiz, are we going to have to explain if it's true or false? Nope. You're just going to click true. Is this claim true or false? It's got people guessing. Tetris has no effect, even though I love it. So I actually don't know whether this is true or false, because this is from Nature magazine. Nature, which, if you don't know Nature is the premier science magazine in America, right? They don't publish urban legends. You know what I'm saying? The study size was 144, which is okay, and they were trying to replicate a series of studies that have shown that Tetris does raise testosterone levels when you win, which is what they were studying, which was the effect of winning and success on testosterone, because a lot of people believe that if you have a high testosterone level, you're more likely to succeed in life. And what they were trying to show was that no, it's the other way around. When you succeed, testosterone levels rise. And then this study came out and said, no, when you win at Tetris, it does not in fact raise your testosterone levels. And so there was disagreement, right? There's disagreement. So were the 3 earlier studies correct? Is this one correct? This one's published in Nature. The other ones weren't. Might be better quality. I don't know. It's welcome to science. It's gray and murky and uncertain, you know? So, according to first of its kind study with the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, players of the competitive esports video game showed no change in testosterone levels. Yeah. Is it specific for men playing Tetris? Yeah, that's what they were studying, was specifically men playing Tetris. And there was this hypothesis that male success in particular resulted in biological changes, right? So the theory was that when men do well in life, there's actually physical changes that change like their mental health and their body growth and things like that. This Nature study said, nope. So what to believe? I don't know. My inclination is towards the Nature article just because you don't get published in Nature without people going through your results of the fine-tooth comb. That said, it's only 144 people. So, and, you know, maybe a larger study would be warranted. I don't know. Yeah. Chad, Mega Chad. Yeah. So, it's interesting though, right? And it to me is just amusing because I read this line and I just started laughing. I'm like imagine just coming across that out of context, right? Like, wait, this is a thing, and wait, there's multiple studies, and wait, what? They disagree? Like, huh? What? So, next claim: success in life is half based on chance and half based on skill. Do what you can to control chance and build your skill. This is a paraphrase, not an exact quote. Sounds like kind of like one of those things you'd have up on the wall of a coffee shop saying, was it live, love, laugh, or whatever, love, live, laugh? I don't know. Life is half random, half under your control. People's skill oftentimes can control the randomness in life, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're driving down the street and a stray bullet takes you out. Nothing you can do about it. Meteor hits your house, you're dead. Plane crashes, you're dead. You know, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. And so just don't worry about it, really, is the advice here. You know, do what you can to control it, right? If your car is kind of wonky, like over spring break, my transmission started going out. And so rather than continuing to drive it, I took it into the shop and had them fix it, right? Fortunately, it's still under warranty. Otherwise, that would have been a big thing. Definitely depends. I think it's inconclusive. Yeah, this isn't exactly a scientific claim, right? This is a little bit different from the other claims, and I did that deliberately. This is more like life advice. You know, and life advice, it's kind of hard to, you know, like the second sentence in particular, like it's kind of hard to say, is it true or false? Like it's not really a claim about reality. It's just advice. It's like, hey, you should not worry. Like, don't worry about the things you can't control. And for the things you can control, try and get better at it. You know, that's not something that can be true and false. But the first part is a claim. It's a claim about reality, right? That life is half chance, half based on skill. So, you know, and again, I don't think it's supposed to be scientific. It's not exactly precise. But this is a quote by Machiavelli, by the way. So Niccolo Machiavelli, the author of The Prince, as well as the treatises on Livy, some of his lesser-known works. Often misunderstood, Machiavelli was. He's most famous for saying, it is better to be feared than loved. But even that's a quote taken out of context. Have you guys heard that quote before? It is better to be feared than loved. We studied The Prince when I was in high school, I think. You've heard that? Yeah. So, taken out of context. Because and that's where the term Machiavellian comes from, right? Somebody that manipulates people and things like that. Machiavelli was actually a pretty astute observer of the human condition, and he had traveled around to different courts in Europe as a diplomat for the city of Florence, and he was a diplomat for the Florentine Republic. The Florentine Republic was overthrown by the Medicis, if I'm remembering the history right. And so he wrote the Prince as sort of a resume builder for the Florentine Prince. That's why it's called the Prince. I've got all this experience working with diplomacy and people. I'm a keen observer of the human condition. Here's my advice book for you, my prince. Even though I work for the Republic, I'm loyal to you now, so please give me a job. That's what the Prince was about. And he was saying, I know a lot of stuff that you don't know, so hire me, and we can be friends, and I'll work for you, and it'll be great. The Terraria is fun until you don't know what to do. Yeah. So the quote about being loved and feared said, most people want to be loved rather than feared. But somebody who is loved but not feared will do fine as long as things are okay. But when things start getting bad and times are tough, times of war, times of hunger, if you are loved but not feared, it is likely you're going to get overthrown. Right? It is best, he says, to be both loved and feared. So everybody thinks you're a cool dude that does right for the city, but also don't screw with them because, if you try rioting, they're going to shut you down. That was what he actually said. But when it comes to being either loved and not feared, or feared but not loved, it is better to be feared but not loved, because then at least you don't get overthrown. That's the context that was eliminated by it is better to be loved than feared. He said it's actually best to be both loved and feared, where people like you and also respect you. You know what I'm saying? People that you like but don't respect, the second that, that times get tough, they'll toss you out and put somebody else in. And he's saying this because he was part of the Florentine Republic that had thrown out the Medicis, and then the Medicis threw them out. Like, Renaissance era Italy was wild. Like, the political machinations and different power moves going on was actually quite interesting. He had mercenary armies running around, and he had thoughts on mercenary armies too, very negative ones. So how can you be loved and feared at the same time? It's the kind of thing like my martial arts instructor is this old Korean dude that grew up post World War II, studied Taekwondo his whole life. Really nice guy. Really liked him a lot. I would also not want to screw with him. You know what I mean? So yeah, super buff but caring. It's 4 minutes past the schedule. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so all right. I have to do this one. I'm sorry. Mosquitoes don't like Skrillex. Dubstep, when the bass drops. Mosquitoes don't like Skrillex. That was the headline. That was the headline. Mosquitoes don't like Skrillex. And this is actually true, as far as I can tell. They did a study where they played Skrillex, and it worked pretty effectively as a mosquito repellent. They, in fact, do not like Skrillex. And so the source is here. The electronic song Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites reduces host attack and meeting success in the ding vector Aedes aegypti. So. Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites by Skrillex. Yeah. So. We'll end with that. It keeps people away too a lot of times. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll pick this up on Friday. I got a couple more to go through because it's kind of fun, and it really is important to learn to enable your critical thinking filter and be like, I don't know, and to look things up. Okay, so your quiz will go live in just a few minutes. You will have to do digging for it. You will have to do digging. You will have to Google things and look things up and look up primary sources to do the quiz. I'm just going to tell you that, and they're both unambiguous. The claims I was giving in lecture today, some of them were pretty ambiguous, like, I don't know, there's evidence for or against. The quiz questions I'm going to give you are unambiguous. It's going to be true, it's going to be false. Okay? Is it timed? Nope. Not. Most of them will be. This one, nah. Take your time. Okay? You'll have till the start of class on Friday. Okay? Mosquito Skrillex. Bug spray ain't the only option anymore. Yeah, can you just imagine people walking around in Yosemite waiting for the bass to drop. It's like, what the hell is going on, dude? This is Yosemite. It's supposed to be a tranquil and peaceful place. Like, dude, this is my mosquito repellent. It's way healthier than using DEET. You just blast Skrillex and mosquitoes stay away. It's great. It's fantastic. Everybody should be blasting Skrillex here. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. Thanks for coming, hanging out, and I will see you on Friday.